There comes a time in every man's life where things just don't work out. When you're against the world is against you. When shit hits the fan, who do you run to? Where does your strength come from? How do you remain resilient when things just turn out to be negative? You have tried your best, you have given it your all, but it feels like you're not doing enough. Worst part, people around you don't seem to appreciate your efforts. They feel like, yes, you should be capable enough to walk around or even maneuver around in such a way that it doesn't destroy you. But how do we convince our minds that this this one too shall pass when I'm faced with chaos, when I'm in the middle of chaos? How do I convince myself that? How do I convince my mind to remain positive when things just don't work out? You gave it your all. You have tried your best. Maybe you haven't tried harder than you should have. But how do I keep going when things just don't work out? You tell me. That's why it's good for every man to have some source of strength when such times comes in your life, when those kind of events happens in your life. You know where to run to. That's why it's good to dedicate yourself to God, because when we talk about God, we're talking about creation, where everything comes from. And if you feel like what we are equipped with, it is no longer relevant or it's no longer serving you, go back to creation, go back to God. Ask for that strength, ask for that power, because in God we find everything. I'm not a good preacher when it comes to the gospel of God, but one thing I can tell you is that whenever I needed God, I always found Him. And I'm here to not only champion God for what He has done in my life, I'm here to champion God for being there everywhere, every time, whenever I need Him. There are times where I feel like I can do everything on my own, but I get to a point where I feel like I can't do it anymore. I can just delete everything and just live my private life, not showing or even telling people what happens around me. But at the same time, I feel like there are people who deserve what I normally talk about. My purpose is bigger than the noise. My purpose is bigger than the pressure. That's why it's good for you as a man to have high stress tolerance, because such times, such moment comes in your life. Where do you draw your strength from? And for me, it's quite different from where other most men have their source of strength. Because for me, I know whenever things don't work out, I need to run to God. After running to God, I start to realize why I started. Remembering why I started what I started, which gives me the strength, which gives me the power to keep on continuing, which gives me the courage to keep on continuing. I'm at a point in my life where I'm no longer driven by motivation. I'm driven by purpose. I'm a purpose-driven man, and there are men like me. There are many people who are purpose-driven, and what keeps you going when things just slows down, when shit hits the fan? What happens? How do you react? How do you convince your mind to remain positive when everything around you is just negative? How do you convince your mind to be resilient? How do you convince your mind to remain positive? And that's why it's good for you to be purpose-driven. At the same time, remain a man of God, remain a woman of God, a woman of purpose, a man of purpose. This life is actually hard, and it tends to be harder if you have no source of strength, if you have no source of power, which comes from the higher power. There comes a time in your life where things just don't feel like they are carrying that much value than who you are. You get over things, money, clothes, your cars, you get over those things. You just feel like you are missing a lot if you don't have those kind of things. But as soon as you get there, you start to realize that it's all in vain. I remember this other time we were launching this other book, which it was a collaborative effort between me and my brother and also this other young charismatic lady. And as we were launching this book, there was a segment whereby we were giving a keynote to this other successful entrepreneur, philanthropic person, and you are supposed to deliver a keynote. And one thing that I've learned from, not only from him but from a lot of people, is that just because they have what we don't have, or someone has something that they don't have, doesn't simply mean that they don't have problems. And you get to realize that as soon as you reach the peak of your career, when you're still hustling, when you're still trying to find your way in, that's not the important part of your life. But as soon as you get there, you start to realize that there is still a lot more to learn, to do, to realize, because it's all in vain. You came with nothing, you will leave with nothing. That's life. And we work our entire lives to be where we feel like we actually deserve. Yes, it's good to dream bigger, even bigger than your circumstances. But it gets to a point where it feels like it's boring. Money starts to seem like it's boring. It feels like there is no much value to it. I know this because I've been around the most successful people in my life. I've been around millionaires. I'm just not too sure if I've been around billionaires. But one thing I can tell you is that all they say, one thing, it's all in vain. That's why it's good to prioritize your own family. Look after the people that you love and care about. Provide some sense of security around them. Let them live a prosperous life. Through your doings, through your deeds, do what it takes to protect the people around you, to care, provide for the people that you love. That's one thing that I've learned from the most successful people in my life, that I had to interact with them. And that's my message for you all today. I'm not sure if you did happen to find value in my message, but if you did, please let me know in the comment section on what value you picked out in this video. Also guys, for more life-changing information, there is a book titled To The Leader in You by myself, Duncan Mnisi. I'll leave the link to the book or the description box. On that note, I'll see you guys on our next YouTube video. This is your boy Duncan Mnisi. I'll see you guys on the next one. Do not forget to subscribe.